Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about how to stop burnout for medical coders and medical coding students. Some tips to help. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Okay guys, so if you are in the industry right now in medical coding and you're feeling burnt out and you're saying, Blue, I don't know if I can keep doing this. I hate my job. It's the same thing over and over again. If you are in that situation as a medical coder, yeah, you are careening down the road at burnout. What I would suggest that you do if you have experience is to get your resume together so that you can move on and start applying for other places that's going to give you some new challenges. Because while you can always ask your supervisor for new clinics to learn and new specialties to code and things like that, there may be some resistance sometimes. So you never know. This uncomfortable feeling of feeling burnt out may be your sign that you need to get it together so that you can move on. This is my advice anyway. If you are a medical coding student and you are going through what you feel is burnout, you say, I'm just tired, I don't understand things, it's just getting really aggravating and it's just so much to do and I'm just so confused all the time, I just don't think that this is right for me. Well, we need to look at how much time are you putting into study, okay? If you are saying this and you're only putting in 5 or 10 hours per week, well, there is your problem. You're not putting in enough time to develop as a medical coding student so that you can get more confidence. Competence is earned when you put in the time. That is what it is. And with competence comes confidence. And that has a lot to do with how you are taking that burnout feeling, okay? So once we have ourselves set up on a schedule at 20 hours per week, because it does not matter how much you are doing right now. If you're working a full-time job, you got a house full of kids and family, if you want to learn this, you will learn this and you will put in the time, 20 hours per week. Somebody's going to ask me too, how much time do I put in? 20 hours per week. That is what you're going to start working towards every single week so that you can get to that point where medical coding and learning it becomes fun, because it actually does become fun. It's the people that are complaining that, oh, it's too hard, it's too hard. Those are the people that are not studying medical terminology, anatomy, pathophysiology, and all those good things so that all of the stuff can make sense. So again, putting in the time is going to help you to mitigate some of those burnout feelings, okay? So being consistent and setting yourself up on a schedule of 20 hours per week of study, that's going to help you. You're not doing the 20 hours all in one sitting. You are doing it 30 minutes at a time or 1 hour at a time. So in the morning, you do 30 minutes while you're brushing your teeth. You could be listening to an anatomy channel. At lunchtime, you could be flipping through flashcards. You could be reading a book. You could be watching a video about anatomy, physiology, whatever. And then on your drive home, you could be listening to something for 30 minutes again, depending on how long your drive is, but at least let's just go with 30 minutes. You do that, that's an hour and a half. You come home, you get the kids taken care of, and you do all the things that you need to do. Then you sit down with your workbook, and that's 1 hour that you're sitting there with your workbook, and you're working through the workbook. You're reading through those chapters, you're reading the questions, you're answering the questions, and working through it. You're not going to expect yourself to be like this know-it-all overnight, because none of us, any coder that is worth their weight in salt will tell you that you're not going to learn everything. I still have yet to learn a lot of things too, just like everybody else, because the second you think you know everything, you're no good to anybody. You will always have to learn. Okay, you will always have to learn, and that's what's going to help you to stay grounded in this field. Because if you know walking in that this is not something that you're going to eventually stop learning, like you're going to learn all and master all that you need to know. If you have it in your head already that no, there's going to be still more, you're always going to have that ball rolling, so that you're not going to face that burnout, because there's always going to be something new to learn, okay? So whether you are a student, whether you are a full-fledged medical coder working in the field, we need to look at where our time is being spent. My coders that are working already, and you feel like everything is just all day, every day, it's work, 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 work. You've been working so much overtime. Once you clock out for the day, that's it, you're done. You don't need to be doing anything else. You need to decompress, okay? For my coding students, when you get done with your job during the day, you do your 3.5 hours, right, in one day. You do this consecutively for 5 days. That's 17.5 hours that you've already put in of study. And then you have 2.5 hours on a Saturday or Sunday, and that makes up your 20 hours. And it's putting in those little pockets of time. That's what's going to help you. It's going to build your discipline. It's going to give you something to be like, okay, this is what we're doing. This is being consistent, and we're not going to burn out because of it. Okay. So, but my coding students, once you hit that 20 hours, you're going to stop. And when I say stop, I literally mean stop. Don't mess with these books. Don't look at them. Don't watch no videos. Just stop and spend time with your family. The thing about this field is when family members or loved ones, friends, when they see that you are working in this, they may come along with their own opinions about how it's going away. If they're not a coder themselves, don't listen. And they may have their heart in the right place, but then also at the same time too, you don't know what their motive is, really and truly. Because I've heard from a lot of people who talk about, their significant others or their kids or whoever being like jealous because they're doing this, and it's taking attention away from them. And so they're going to try to distract them by, talking all this stuff in their ear. This is why spending time with them throughout the process is important. Whether you are working as a coder or whether you are a student, spending time with your loved ones, because if you are just all into this, and while it may be fun for you, and while you may just be enthralled in the whole process, your family members are still wanting your attention because you were never like this before. So that's why you need to spend time with them. And spending time with them helps with that decompression. It helps to spend time with loved ones and people that you actually enjoy. So that way you can help you to refocus yourself. I myself have to do this. I have to make it a point with the schedule the way that I have it. And y'all do not know my full schedule. None of you knows my full schedule. Okay. But I have a very full schedule. And because of that, I have to make time for people that I love and for the things that I enjoy doing. And you have to look at what do you enjoy doing? And what you enjoy doing may not even cost you a thing. It's just going to cost you time, okay? And whether it is scrolling on TikTok, like some of you like to do, I am not on TikTok at all, okay? I'm not on TikTok for a very specific reason, but I am not on TikTok because the thought of it doesn't bring me joy. These little quick, no, I don't do that. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and dull my attention span all for the sake of this app. I don't think so, okay? But the thing is, you need to do something that you enjoy. But if you're so sucked into these apps, you need to take the time to get a rest because you're looking at computer screens all day. If you're at work or, if you are doing something that has you on the internet or you're a full-time student, you're constantly with these screens. So you do need to give your eyes a rest and take a break. So take a break, go outside, get yourself some sun, get some fresh air. So that way your senses can be given a rest so they can awaken when they're outside so that they can, help you to reset. That's what you need. You need to make sure that you're doing that. If you are not doing that, that's when things start to get cloudy. You can't recall things, you won't be able to remember. And this is not for long periods of time, maybe 10 or 15 minutes, just getting some sun outside. Of course, protect yourself, right? If it's really sunny, right? You don't want to be out there burning, but just a few minutes to be outside and to just enjoy the fresh air and the sun. And getting some sun and being outside and having that warm sun on your skin feels awesome. And so that can really help to bring your stress levels down too. but any kind of movement will also help you to de-stress and keep from burning out. Because when we sit all day, and it is very easy to sit all day. This is why I have my Fitbit. My Fitbit reminds me to get up and to move every hour on the hour. So that way I'm not sitting here just like only on the computer all the time. It is very easy to sit for hours, but you don't want to get into that, because as your body sits all day and you're not getting any kind of movement, it's very easy to get fatigued just from sitting. Okay, so that is your reminder. Do what you can physically do. Okay, I am not a physician or anything like that, but I am just somebody who uses this approach to helping me to keep from burning out, which is getting movement. I have started incorporating more walks during the day. I get at least 30-minute walking in every single day. And I do this for myself, for my health, and for my focus. When there's been times when I have not been able to exercise. I tell myself, I don't have time to exercise right now. I don't have time to do 30 minutes of walking. And then it'll sneak up on me and I'll start to be like, why am I not remembering this? Why am I not as sharp? And it's because I've stopped exercising. So that's why working out, like walking, something very simple, something that you enjoy, getting outside in the sun, that will be very helpful for you. So that's something to think about, to think about incorporating. And you may say, well, I'm too tired. Believe it or not, it gives you more energy when you're moving around versus just sitting there and just staring at a screen. Okay. Now, like I say, 30 minutes is sufficient enough to get yourself started and going. Okay. And do what you physically can. Don't overstrain yourself, because then you got other problems. But just do something like get up and stretch. Stretching is wonderful too, just reaching for the sky, so that way you can stretch and your body can be like, okay, we got this. And you'll be more alert and you can remember things a lot easier, okay? And you're not having those physical signs of burnout. Getting plenty of sleep. This is something that I still struggle with. I still work on myself with, because sleep is critical. I know the difference in myself when I'm not getting enough sleep and versus when I'm getting enough sleep. So when you get enough sleep, and they always recommend 7 hours at least of sleep, that needs to be continuous. You need to make sure that you are sleeping comfortably, whether it is with a fan on or with the air conditioning or whatever, so that you can sleep. I can't sleep if the room is hot. I'm that way. If the room is too hot, I cannot sleep. And so make it comfortable for yourself, but get in that time and prioritize that sleep. Because if you're not prioritizing your sleep, you start running into a sleep deficit, it starts making everything start to snowball, and then you burn out faster because you're not giving yourself that adequate rest so that you can reset. This is so critical to getting where you want to go, to reaching your goals, is to get that adequate sleep. And when you get adequate sleep, guess what happens? You can think more clearly. And when you can think more clearly, you're able to be a little bit more creative with your approach to certain things. So if you're finding yourself overwhelmed with study and things like that, how much sleep have you been getting? Not enough. So once you start saying, okay, this week I'm going to reset myself. We're in a brand new month already. This is September. We're getting into the fall. You can reset at any time. You don't need to sit there and wait for, October 1st or, September 1st. You don't need to do that. You need to say, okay, from this day, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm conscious about it, I'm going to try to get in my 7 hours of sleep so that I can feel more rested, so that I don't feel these burnout feelings. Okay? It's not to say that burnout won't ever sneak up on you, because it can. But what can we do to control those factors that we can control? Okay? Obviously, we can't control all the stressors in our life sometimes, but we can control our own bodies, our own reactions. So getting adequate sleep, getting outside and getting some sun for just a few minutes, getting some movement in, some exercise, right? And light exercise. It's not going to hurt you, right? Stretching, that kind of thing. Those are simple things that you can do. There's lots of really great exercise videos on YouTube that are free that you can go along with, lots of beginner friendly workout exercises. You don't have to get all this fancy equipment. Just show up in your living room, in your bedroom, wherever, and just do these little few movements. And so that way you can start to feel better and to get more focus. Make sure that you're drinking plenty of water. There's a way to calculate how much water that you need, because over time you can, overhydrate yourself if you're drinking too much water. I don't ever recommend getting those big old containers and just walking around with a big old container. Guys, use common sense, okay? Calculate how much water you need for your body, because every body is different and is going to require a different amount of water. So, but just make sure that you're drinking water. There's lots of people that do not drink water. They are busy drinking those coffees. They'll drink their macchiatos or whatever. And while I drink coffee, I still do drink water, because water is very important. Water, tea, coffee, those are the three that I drink. And, if you're drinking sodas, sodas are really bad for you. But it's not to say that you can't have one as a treat, okay? That's something that you can treat yourself. Hey, if I study these 5 hours, or, during the week, 5 hours. If I study these 17 and a half hours, I was talking about 5 hours in another video. If I study these 17 and a half hours this week and then have my 2.5 hours on the weekend, I'll be able to hit those 2.5 hours, but I'm going to treat myself to a Coke, or I'm going to treat myself to a Dr. Pepper or a Sprite or whatever you drink, Pepsi, whatever. But it's a nice thing to look forward to. And it's something that is so small. And like I said, the things that you reward yourself with don't have to be big. It just has to be something that brings you a little bit of joy. If you say, well, I'm going to treat myself to Dunkin' Donuts afterwards, after my study. Okay, great. If that's what you look forward to, that's what you like, by all means, you go right ahead, But like I said, it's the little things that will stop you from burning out. You do not have to focus on work as a coder 24/7. You do not have to focus on studying as a medical coding student 24/7. Okay, you do not. And I have to say this because somebody actually asked me that, a student. Oh, do we have to do it 24/7 all the time? Really? Can we use some common sense here? That's not what I said. 20 hours is not 24/7. 20 hours is not 24/7. It's just getting that study time in consistently. And then when you've completed it, then you have all the time to spend with your family and your friends and people that you love and who bring joy to your life. Okay? So look for those things. Look for those people that bring some joy in your life. I have plenty of people that I enjoy spending time with, and I also enjoy doing other things like going for drives or, going out of town. And there's things that I choose to do that are comfortable for me. Like I love to watch YouTube videos about animals. I'm a Survivor Sanctuary is my most favorite. Longhorn Lester is another one. Really awesome channels. I love watching animals, and I love, just sitting there, just mindlessly just watching this video, because I think all day. And so when you have something, an activity that is mindless, like watching a video or watching a show, whatever. I like to watch Monk too. I don't have to think on that show either. I can just sit there and watch the show. It's fun to me. Not everybody likes the show, but I love the show. It makes me laugh. So it's whatever you want to do to make you look forward to something, give yourself a goal, and it doesn't have to be anything that costs you money, but it's going to cost you time. If your treat to yourself is that you can sleep in on a Saturday, or you can sleep in on a Sunday or whatever, then by all means do it. That's what you can do. You can also, if you're working and you're feeling, as a medical coder, and you're feeling burnt out, you need to schedule yourself for an extra day off. There's a lot of people that think, oh no, I need to save my leave for when something happens, or if I want to go on a big trip or whatever. But it never hurts to schedule just some random day off, right? So at my job, you have to put in a request if you want to take annual leave, right? You want to take your annual leave. they want you to put in a request at least 2 weeks in advance, right? And so that's what I'll do. Sometimes if I feel myself like getting tired and I'm like, I'm doing too much right now, I need to schedule some time off. I will schedule time off like in the middle of the week on a Wednesday, or I'll schedule off a Thursday. So that way I don't have to, I'm not getting up every single day early, and I can just spend a little bit of time and relax and decompress. And so that helps me. And sometimes I'll like couple it with a weekend, you know what I mean? Depending, I'll take off a Friday or I'll take off a Monday, and then I'll just go and take a trip and, you know, go out of town for a couple days and stay in a hotel. Something to get myself out of my own environment so that way I can reset. Because that reset is helping me to be, okay, more alert and better at what I'm doing so that I can deliver good content for you all, and be able to do and have the energy to do all the things that I'm doing outside of this, okay? Outside of what you guys know. So that's something that I would suggest that you do. It's, these things happen, you know, stuff in life compounds, and sometimes we don't know something's going to happen, and all of a sudden something happens and it's just adding on extra stress. But if we take care of ourselves and our bodies, and we learn to focus, and we give ourselves these tasks, so that way once we complete these, hey, we've already done what we needed to do. The rest of the time is ours to sleep, or to watch movies, or to go hang out with friends, or to go get a coffee, or whatever. That's what you got to do, okay? But it needs to be a conscious choice, because burning yourself out, hating your job, especially as a coder, that makes me very sad. Because if you say, well, I hate my job, so then you need to look at the environment that you're in there. You got that job, you can certainly get another job. So get your resume together and make sure that you're applying at other places, because now that you have experience, there should be no reason that you can't move on. Well, I'm afraid because of my benefits and blah, blah, blah. Well, there's other places that have benefits as well too. So that's something that you have to stop making excuses. If you're really that miserable, you will get your resume right and get out there and start looking for another place that's going to be more comfortable for you, or give yourself more of a challenge, okay? And that's what you're looking for, then that's great. If you feel like you're outgrowing coding and you feel like you need to do something else because you have the skill, but it's not enough for you anymore, look at elevating your skill set. Look at going back to school, okay? And if your job, your employer has some kind of like tuition incentive, that's something that you can do as well. Give yourself something to get excited about, okay? And especially if you say, well, my supervisor this, and they don't want to let me do this, and they don't want to let me do, then find another place that will, because not all supervisors are the same. There are different styles of leadership. And I've learned that in my career, in my 17 years. I've worked under very strict supervisors. I've worked under micromanagers, which I could never again. I cannot. When it comes to micromanaging, no. I cannot do that. That is way too much stress. So anytime I feel that coming, oh no, no, we cannot do that. I've worked with supervisors that I've seen eye to eye with, and I've worked with other supervisors that, oh no, the personalities just do not go together well at all, you know. So, but you learn from those experiences, and you learn to either grow, or like, okay, you learn how to advocate for yourself. Like, this is what I need. These are my needs. This is what I have to offer, but these are also what my needs are. Okay. And that's how I got myself away from a micromanaging supervisor that I had, because I had to advocate for myself. Okay. So if that's your situation, that's what you're going through, experienced coder, you need to think about that. But you also need to educate yourself too. And if going back to school, and you may think, oh, I don't know, going back to school, it's exciting. It's exciting to go back to school. It's exciting to learn new things. And, if you say, well, that's not me, well, then think of other things then. I'm just giving you some suggestions that you may not have thought of, because a lot of people don't think down this way. They think more of the immediate, reward. They want something right away, rather than building something over time, and then you get rewarded. I'm just saying, you know. And for my medical coding students, I'm going to stress to you again, you need to spend time with your loved ones. Do not neglect them during this portion. Involve them or spend time with them, but do not neglect them. Because when you neglect your family members, you neglect your friends and things like that, they're gonna talk crap, obviously. But if you are making the effort to say, okay, I can do this and I can spend time with you, that is what's going to balance everything. And then you're going to see that there's going to be a difference in the reactions that you get. Okay. But if they don't want to help you, then you need to make sure that you're focusing on doing your part to maintain your student status and learning. Okay. They don't have to understand. They don't need to accept what you're doing, okay? None of your loved ones need to accept or understand what you're doing. You're doing this for you. You understand, you did your research, and you know what you're doing. You don't need to rely on their validation. Is it nice to have? Absolutely. Will it stop a lot of this rigmarole you're feeling about burning out? Yes. But you don't have to have it, okay? You don't have to have it. You know what you're doing, so you need to stick with it. Because trust me, there will be plenty of people, and even it may be your friends, your loved ones, your really close people to you that you think, oh yes, this person would support me. Sometimes you'd be surprised that they're actually not supporting you. They're actually hating on you. So don't think of like you have to get all of their approval, or that you need to do all this to please them. You need to please yourself and do what you need to do in order to get where you need to go on this journey, okay? Because it's not about pleasing other people. This life, in the life that you're living, is everything, the effort that you're putting into it. This goes for my people that are certified as well and working, along with my students. Your life is what you make of it. If you allow other people to control how you feel and what you're thinking and stress, and allowing them to stress you out, you're never going to get anywhere. You're never going to get anywhere. And you're always going to feel burnt out. You're always going to feel that stress. Don't do it. Okay? Do not do it. Make sure that you are taking the time for you. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be your career. It's not their career. They may benefit because, if you're the head of the household and you're providing for your family with this, they may benefit, but do not allow them to control the fact that they stressing you out so bad that you can't study. We need to compartmentalize the two, okay? You can, but like I said, you stay consistent on that schedule, on that study schedule for my students. You stay consistent on that, and then you spend that time with them. They got nothing to complain about, right? Because you're spending time with them. And they'll get used to it. This is not forever, right? This 20 hours is not forever. It's just for right now so that you can learn. Once you get your certification and you're out there in the real world, well, then that's going to be different. Everything's going to be different. But right now, you need to focus on studying for you. I'm just saying. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. But just take your breaks, guys. Look for the little things that you can enjoy and celebrate your wins. If you're a coder already, you got a great audit, celebrate that. If you're a medical coding student and you did really good on looking up the codes or whatever, celebrate that. You got this, okay? So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.